Alright, so I just got back from my trip, maybe like not even an hour ago. Surprisingly, the tank held up pretty well. I think the only issues I really had was getting the auto top off water in my 5-gallon bucket. I had my brother fill it up once, so other than that, everything looks pretty nice. So I haven't cleaned the glass yet, but just give a little overview. Looks like a lot of things survived. I don't think there's a lot of death, I guess. Let's see, I'm just doing a casual look. Okay, I did lose a little button scully right there. I'm scanning. Looks like I kind of lost that little base of the PC rainbow. I do see some of the polyps left, but I'm not sure what's all there still. And I also see a blast of frags kind of buried into the sand. I ended up moving my jawbreakers over. I don't see any of the babies, so that might be a shame. But I'm not sure if it's because they just like kind of detached from the rock or if they actually just melted. So probably take a rest for today and clean the glass tomorrow. And I'll give it a better update after I kind of get everything cleaned up. Alright, welcome back YouTube. Finally had time to clean up the glass. A few days after the trip, finally had time to settle and kind of talk about the tank. So excuse my voice, I did get sick after the trip unfortunately, so I may sound a little off. But in terms of the tank health, for the most part, I was very surprised with, very happy with the results of, just letting it autopilot for 2 weeks. Very minimal loss. I think the only loss I really had was a little base of the PC Rainbow, which already wasn't doing well. The button scully at the bottom, that wasn't looking too hot before the trip. But I think that's about it. Oh yeah, and also one of the baby jawbreakers, I think it either like floated away or melted. It's one or the other, I'm not sure. I found one of them actually. It's super hard to show, but it's actually the baby somehow detached and needs attached right here next to that frog spawn. But I couldn't find the other one. But anyways, to bring it back, I really wanted to kind of focus this video on things I did before I left on the vacation to set this tank up for success. So the first thing I really did was, and turn up the brightness here, was you always want to make sure all your dosing containers are full. So I filled up, I dosed a very simple 3-part calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium. So some things I did before I left was I tested every day those few parameters. Even though it's kind of intensive, right, for like calcium and mag, but I really wanted to see where those values were differing day to day, so I can adjust my dosing so that it can be on point while I'm gone for those 2 weeks. It may seem kind of small, but small things dosing every day for 2 weeks while you're gone can actually have a really big impact on your tank. So that was one of the first things I really did. In terms of testing, I was dosing phosphate, if you guys recall, to the tank to boost the coloring of my corals. One thing I found odd was every day I was testing my phosphate, the values were not the values I was really expecting, and they were kind of changing day to day. So I knew something was off about the phosphate. So before I left on the trip, I just decided, you know what, it's probably best to just not dose phosphate at all, because I think the values I was reading were like 0.15, which is like super high for my tank. I never run them that high. So I was like, you know what, just to be safe, I'm just not going to dose phosphate. And maybe the auto feeder I have will kind of cover that phosphate. So I'm really glad I did, because I was kind of thinking about this problem during the trip, or the vacation, which is kind of bad. But I was like, man, why is my phosphate so off? But I realized that I bought the wrong reagent for my Hana phosphate checker. So the checker I have is like the regular phosphate one, but the reagent I bought was actually the ultra low rating. So that kind of like, I was like, oh my god, I know exactly what the problem is. So thankfully, another useful thing to have is, like a small camera. A lot of people don't want to look at their tanks during the vacation, but it kind of saves you that stress. I kind of just check in. I'm not looking at like 24/7. I just check in, one time a day just to see, oh yeah, the tank's still there. Everything's good. So that's another thing that's useful to have for a vacation, just a small camera. And I also
did get this little auto fish feeder. It looks kind of goofy, right? Being I usually have a tank on the side right here, but this one was a different model that I got compared to the one I designed this lid for. So long story short, the freaking one I had fell into the tank while I was doing maintenance. It's happened more than once, unfortunately, and it kind of like fries up the board. So this one I got on Amazon. It was fine. It's not like smart or programmable. It's just kind of one time a day feeder. I put it this high because I tested it, and whenever the pellets fall into the tank, it falls at like a good enough height where the pellets kind of sink into the water instead of just kind of like floating at the top. So you definitely want to like test all your feeders to make sure you're getting the results you want. I put it off on the side, filled it up with the pellets, and kind of had it like manually spin onto a napkin so I can see like oh yeah, there's this many pellets, that's probably fine enough. But yeah, that's another thing I did. To kind of go more onto the tank, I did do a water change a few days before I left on vacation. I know a lot of people advise you to not do that, but if it's in your normal routine, then go ahead and just do that water change because nothing really bad's gonna happen. And if you were to catch something maybe the next day, then you're probably able to fix it. So there's that. I also made sure to, typically I like to clean out the pumps really well. Unfortunately, this time I wasn't able to clean out the gyres as much as I wanted. I know the gyres especially need more cleaning maintenance compared to like MP40s and other pumps. But luckily, that was fine whenever I got back. It was a little covered, but nothing too dramatic. Going down to the sump, you also want to make sure, of course, your doser's working. In the event of any emergencies, I kind of have my dosers and electrical plugs kind of like higher up compared to the sump. But or at least above the bottom of the flooring. So you also want to make sure that your dosing lines are not clogged up. I know a lot of people that are dosing calc, sometimes their lines get clogged up, so you definitely want to check that before you go. I usually do like a manual dosing of every tube to kind of at least see the drip. I did run my skimmer for a little bit, but I made sure not to over skim because like in the event that one, your skimmer overflows, it kind of causes problems for the tank, and two, it just like ruins the smell of your home. You don't want to come back to a stinky house. So that was another thing I looked at, and I think that kind of wraps it up. So those were like a few things I did for my tank before I left. Don't really have too many moving parts. It keeps it simple for the people coming to check on the tank. I did have my girlfriend come one day and my brother come another. Oh yeah, I forgot to add on to that. So I guess the only problem I really had was my auto top-off bucket. This 5-gallon bucket was not good enough for my tank, so my brother did have to fill up this little bucket. So you want to make sure that you either have someone coming to fill up your auto top-off or that your little reservoir is big enough to cover your tank during that time of your vacation. And I guess, yeah, that kind of wraps it up. In terms of feeding, I did have them feed every once in a while, frozen food whenever they came. You really want to cut up those cubes or like portion them so that you can't make the mistake of overfeeding your tank. But yeah, that kind of wraps it up. Want to highlight this saltwater molly. This guy is so awesome. I need to get more of these guys. So originally I bought 2. One didn't make it, unfortunately. But this guy is so cool. Like I need to get a few more of these. I got inspiration from Inappropriate Reefer. Definitely worth the money. These guys, I see him all the time, kind of like picking algae off of the pump. So really cool guy. And it's a nice fish to fill up the top of your tank. So I'll definitely be getting more of those guys. I did pick up a cryptic wrasse. He's super tiny, maybe like that big. He swims in the back. You definitely don't want to have any new additions to the tank. Corals, fish. These were guys I had either like way before the trip or like after the trip I picked them up. Unfortunately, the yellow assessor I had, he's been gone for like 2 weeks, so I guess I can confirm that he did not make it after I shifted the rocks around to get out some of my other fish to rehome them. So I'm not sure what happened there. I'm not sure if he got stuck in a rock, because he likes to crawl in there. But you know, unfortunately he's gone. Really sad about that loss. But overall, very happy with how things went, considering it was a 2-week vacation. But yeah, just wanted to do a quick update today. That wraps it up for this video, and I will catch y'all next time. See ya.